Introduction. Dear students, in this session, we are going to learn about conflicts. Do you know what conflict is? Conflict is not physical fights, but really, conflict is goal-oriented. Conflicts is not about defeating the other person, but the ideas of the other person. It can be either related to values or ideology. When it is related to values, it is called value conflict. And if it is related to ideology, then it is called intergenerational conflict. The reasons for conflict are many, such as lack of understanding, lack of dignity, and so on. So in this session, we are going to learn about conflict and how to resolve a conflict. We will also deal with value conflict and intergenerational conflicts. When conflicts arise between individuals, it needs to be solved peacefully. Conflicts which are not solved peacefully will lead to violence. The individuals need to sort out their differences and get along. Today, in the first section, we will see about conflicts and its related concepts. In the second section, we will outline the 5 styles of conflict resolution. In the third section, we will learn about value conflicts and its features. And in the fourth section, we will see the effects of value conflict. The fifth section will take us through intra and intergenerational conflicts. Conflicts and its concepts. Now let us learn the concepts of conflicts. To begin with, let me ask you a question. What is conflict? Conflict is a natural disagreement resulting from individuals or groups differing in their attitudes, beliefs, values, or needs. It can also originate from past rivalries and personality differences. A struggle between 2 or more forces, possessions, or actions. Can we live without a conflict? Can we resolve conflict? Is there an absolute solution to the conflict? Would this world be a better place without conflict? To understand all this, we have to understand conflict. Understanding conflict includes 3 main parts. First, to understand the reactions to conflict. Second, causes of conflict. And third, conflict resolution styles. Now let us learn about reactions to conflict. It is said that conflict is in your body, in your head with a headache, in your stomach with acid, in your back with lower back pain, and in your hands by biting your nails. It is in your words like, I'm pulling out my hair, she's so stiff-necked, I just want to close my eyes, and I can't take it anymore. Now let us learn about the causes of conflicts. The various causes of conflicts include unmet needs and wants, values, perceptions, knowledge, assumptions, expectations, and growing up differently. Now let us take a detailed look on these causes of conflicts. The first cause, needs and wants are unmet. Needs are the basic essentials for our well-being. Conflicts happen when people's basic needs for recognition, affection, and affiliation are not met. When unwell, tired, hungry, or overstressed. Conflicts arise when we ignore others' needs, or our own needs, or even the group's needs. Don't confuse needs with desires. The second cause for conflict is values. Values are beliefs or principles we consider to be very important to us. Serious conflicts arise when people hold incompatible values or when values are not clear. A belief becomes a value when you're comfortable telling it to someone. For example, use of time, money, hard work, friendship, privacy, health, charity, safety, integrity, and honesty. The third cause for conflict is perceptions. People interpret reality differently. They perceive differences in the severity, causes, and consequences of problems. Misperceptions or differing perceptions may come from self-perceptions, others' perceptions, differing perceptions of situations, and perceptions from threat. The fourth cause is power. How people define and use power is an important influence on the number and types of conflicts that occur. This also influences how conflict is managed. Conflicts can arise when people try to make others change their actions or to gain an unfair advantage. The fifth cause of conflict is expectations. We naturally hold expectations for ourselves and for others. Conflict occurs when there is a mismatch of these expectations. When we do not clarify expectations and review them periodically, for example, team manager expects all the employees to wear formal clothes and the generations Xers who do not want to wear suits and ties. The sixth cause for conflicts is growing up differently. We all grew up differently based on our race, ethnicity, gender, and even our age. We get into conflicts with one another if we come from different worlds, if we tend to misunderstand our actions and others' actions, misjudge, and thereby create distances between us. Conflict resolution. Now let us learn about the 5 styles of conflict resolution. The 5 styles of conflict resolution include accommodation, avoiding, competition, compromise, and collaboration. Let us now briefly learn about the 5 styles. The first style that we're going to learn about is the accommodation style. Relationship is of great importance, while goals are of little importance. We want to be accepted and liked by other people. We think that conflicts should be avoided in favor of harmony and that people cannot discuss conflicts without damaging relationships. We are afraid that if a conflict continues, someone will get hurt and that could ruin the relationship. We give up their goals to preserve the relationship. We always like to smooth things over, but participation creates success. Let us now learn about the next style of avoiding. In this style, we withdraw into shells to avoid conflicts. We give up our personal goals and relationships. We tend to stay away from issues over which the conflict is taking place and from the persons we are in conflict with. We believe that it is hopeless to try and resolve conflicts. We may also feel helpless. We believe that it is easier to withdraw physically and psychologically from a conflict situation and person than to face it or him or her. Another style is the competing style. In this style, we try to overpower our opponents by forcing them to accept their solutions to the conflict. Our goals are highly important to us and relationships are of little importance. We seek to achieve our goals at all costs. We do not care if others like or accept them and assume that conflicts are either won or lost and we want to be the winner. It gives us a sense of pride and achievement. Losing gives us a sense of weakness, inadequacy, and failure. We try and win by attacking, overpowering, overwhelming, and intimidating others. The next style we are going to explore is the compromising style. Here we are moderately concerned with our own goals and relationships with others. We give up part of our own goals and persuade others in a conflict to give up part of theirs. We seek a conflict situation in which both sides gain something, the middle ground between two extreme positions. We compromise. We will give up part of our goals and relationships in order to find agreement for the common good. The last and the fifth style we're going to see is a collaborative style. Here, we view conflicts as problems to be solved and seek a solution that achieves both our own and the other person's goals. We see conflict as a means of improving relationships by reducing tension between two peoples. We try to begin a discussion that identifies a conflict as a problem to be solved. By seeking solutions that satisfy everyone, they maintain the relationship. We are not happy until a solution is found that satisfies both everyone's goals and resolves a tension and negative feeling that may have been present. These are the 5 styles used for conflict resolution. Value conflict. Let us now discuss value conflict. Value conflict arises when people from similar culture have more or less equal realities and mindsets. Their values, assumptions, and procedures become a part of their culture. But when two groups which do not share norms of communication and expectations about behavior must interact, there is often a clash of interests. Each group may believe that its method of doing things and thoughts is the best way and regard the other person's way of thinking as inferior or morally wrong. Moral conflicts occur when rival groups are behaving according to their different thoughts within their own social worlds. One of the reasons for conflicts between rival groups is the difficulty in breaking the pattern of interaction between them, because each group is caught in its own moral order. It is also possible that an action which one moral order deems perfectly acceptable may be regarded by the other group as evil or even foolish. Let me give you an example. Sometimes people distinguish between moral orders based on rights and virtues. This distinction is associated with different forms of society and ways of being human. A rights-based approach is associated with enlightenment and modernity, while the virtue-based approach comes from traditional society. Let us now discuss the different features of value conflicts. It helps to be aware of the common features in order to understand moral conflicts and deal with it effectively. Misunderstanding. It is a general tendency for us in each group to misunderstand the thoughts and deeds of the other group, mainly because they come from different cultures. They rely on different systems of learning, norms of communication, and behavior pattern. These different groups also rely radically on different vocabularies that stress the importance of different values. Further, misunderstandings may also arise because different groups perceive, define, and deal with conflict in different ways. They carry judgment with them, which may be used different in different cultures. Mistrust. This is another general feature of moral conflict, where different groups tend to develop feeling of suspicions towards their rival groups. They also tend to believe that their rival group is a danger to their very existence. The steps taken by one group to defuse or resolve the conflict may be perceived as threatening to the other group, which is then inclined to respond in a negative way. This often leads to intense conflict. Strained and hostile communication refers to the hostility which is apparent in the communication between two rival groups. The patterns of communication in moral conflicts manifest itself in personal attacks. Slogans and chants replace arguments meant to persuade and inform, and the discourse between the two groups involves many statements about what is wrong with the other group. Negative stereotyping involves sweeping generalization about members of the other groups. Two rival groups involved in moral conflicts tend to generally categorize and criticize the personalities, intelligence, and social manners of members of the other group. Let us take an example. Some groups may attribute the free and liberal behavior of foreigners to undesirable character traits such as moral depravity, rather than realizing that their seemingly inappropriate actions are simply a result of cultural differences. Non-negotiability, strict adherence to one's ideology, makes it difficult for individuals to approach these with different views and with an open mind. They perceive conflict entirely in terms of win-lose. It ultimately reaches a point of no return where one group destruction becomes vital to the existence of the other. Effects of value conflicts. Let us now discuss the effects of value conflicts. It is not at all surprising that moral conflicts often lead to harmful consequences. The people involved in moral conflicts tend to behave immorally according to their own standard of behavior and blame it on the actions of their enemies. The dehumanization of one's opponent that often happens in moral conflict paves the way for hateful action and violence. It also leads to violation of human rights, as the right group may believe that the elimination of the opponent is the only way to resolve conflict. Do you know moral conflicts can be lasting? Parties involved in such conflicts hesitate to collectively address the substantive issues. They often disagree about the meaning and significance of important issues, which make negotiation very difficult. During the course of the conflict, the original issues become secondary and new causes for conflict are generated. Rival groups try to behave consistently according to what they believe is morally good and just. As the conflict continues, main issues are generally brushed and the rival side's way of dealing with the conflict becomes the main issue. So we can say that moral conflicts are self-sustaining. Generally, we have observed that the parties involved in value or moral conflict have a problem with imagining a win solution of the conflict. The fundamental moral, religious, and personal values of these groups cannot be easily changed, and people within the group who adhere to a particular ideology are willing to compromise on their opponent is evil or morally inferior. This only helps to further aggravate the conflict. As you have seen, these people derive part of their identity from being warriors or opponents of their enemies. Since conflicts often involve claims to status and power, both the parties may view any compromise about their values as a threat to their very identity. Ultimately, they are unable to realize the effects of conflict. Since moral conflicts are self-sustaining and can also lead to methods to curb them, each party can improve its understanding of the other party's worldview through new forms of communication and pattern of interaction. People should have the ability to handle conflict in a more mature way. By using narratives and storytelling to communicate, they can alter their views about the other, often revealing general common features in the middle of all the differences. You know, sometimes third parties help the rival groups to reframe their conflict by focusing on more profitable interests and less on non-profitable issues. They can also help the opposing groups to seek mutually beneficial results. Groups are encouraged to share common interests or needs. The more secure each side feels, the less the need to retaliate. So as you can see, considering the value conflict as a problem of security can help bring rival groups together to focus on something beneficial to both the groups. What is dialogue? And what is the importance of dialogue in this issue? Yes, dialogue is a processing, in-depth communication that allows rival parties to get to know each other better. Although there are many forms of dialogue, they all serve a common purpose, that is peaceful resolution of value or moral conflict with better communication, improved understanding, and mutual respect. But sometimes the substantial issues can be beyond compromise. In such cases, both parties must strive to develop a space for citizens by public discourse. Though both the parties have radically different worldviews and do not agree on relevant issues, they can still reach an agreement about how to deal with moral and political differences in a positive way. They can find a way to resolve their conflicts in a manner that is beneficial to both the groups. intra and intergenerational conflict. Now let us learn about intra and intergenerational conflicts. These two terms are contrasting with each other. One term deals with people from different generations and the other people within the same generation. Let us learn about intragenerational conflict. This term is not widely used. An intragenerational conflict rises because people of the same ages or generations have a conflict. Occurrence of this conflict is really because the mindset between individuals of the same generations is kind of the same. So there is less chance for conflict to arise, but the case of intergenerational conflict is different. It is very common. Let us take a brief look on intergenerational conflict. Do you know what intergenerational conflict is? Let me tell you in simple English. Intergenerational conflict is associated with generation gap. Now you should have understood what intergenerational conflict is all about. Intergenerational conflict is described as a conflict situation between teenagers and adults. To be more precise, it is a conflict between individuals from two different generations. In this type of conflict, generally, one generation tries to put down the other. It is also related with social, cultural, or economic differences between the two generations. These differences are mainly caused by a shift in the values and morals from one generation to another. An example of intergenerational conflict is the typical fights that happen between teenagers and parents. These mainly occur due to the lack of understanding and lack of respect. Younger generations may find it hard to identify with older people, to understand that they were young once too, that they have contributed to society, and that even though they may be less active due to the onset of age, they are still highly intelligent people with a wealth of experience that can be shared with others. Older generations, on the other hand, find it hard to tolerate the behavior of some young people. They find it hard to accept that they have many more opportunities these days and may not face the same struggles. They may not recognize that the young people of today face different challenges related to modern society. They may not understand the challenges that young people face. Let us now take a look at ageism. What is ageism? Ageism is the discrimination against people of particular ages. Particularly in employment, it is linked to intergenerational conflict. People who are discriminated against because of their age may find it hard to identify with and respect those from another generation who are perhaps promoted above them or treated more favorably. How can we tackle this conflict? We can tackle the issue by learning about the different points of view, learning how to empathize with the situation from all sides. How can we understand each other better? How are we different and how are we similar? How can we make others more sensitive to the situation? How can we help broaden people's concepts of youth and old age? There are a few steps. The first step is to identify the problem. The second step is to develop awareness. The third step is to take action, and the final step is measuring the change. Conclusion. Conflict can happen when family members have different views or beliefs that clash. As we all know, transitioning from one stage of life to another is often a time of additional stress and conflict. Seek professional advice if you think you need help to resolve long-standing issues of conflict. Sometimes, conflict can occur when people misunderstand each other and jump into the wrong conclusions. Issues of conflict that are not resolved peacefully can lead to arguments and resentment. It is normal to disagree with each other from time to time. Occasional conflict is part of family life. However, ongoing conflict can be stressful and damaging to relationships. Some people find it difficult to manage their feelings and become intentionally hurtful, aggressive, or even violent. Communicating in a positive way can help reduce conflict so that family members can reach a peaceful resolution. This usually means that everyone agrees to a compromise or agrees to disagree. In the first section, we saw the conflicts and related concepts, followed by 5 styles for conflict resolution. The third section, we learned about value conflicts and its features, and we also saw the effects of value conflicts. In the fifth section, we discussed about intra and intergenerational conflicts. Sometimes, strong emotions or power imbalances that can be present in relationships are difficult to resolve and can only be addressed in a counseling situation.